It's been said that the world is overpopulated. I'm just going to reassure you all that it is not. That is an incomplete statement. The world is overpopulated with people who are oriented in a destructive manner. That orientation is called service to self. This is outlined in a book called The Raw Material, and it was also emphasized and backed up by data that was found through kinesiological studies conducted by Dr. David Hawkins, psychologist. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth, also Sir Dr. David Hawkins. And so he found through his project where he mapped consciousness from 10 to 1,000, 10 being elimination, 1,000 being God and angels, heaven, everything, the Most High. He found that there is a line of division in the map of consciousness that is very significant for all of life. It is called integrity. It is at number 200. It is said by Dr. David Hawkins that 75% of the global human population is below integrity, which means that 75% of humanity is dysfunctional. And how dysfunctional are they, you may ask? They are dysfunctional to the extent where they are unable to support life. That is, they find it difficult to care for others. They find it difficult to be in service to others. They find it difficult to even practice integral self-love, which means being honest and forgiving and choosing love over fear and hatred and all kinds of other unwholesome attitudes, feelings, thoughts, and modes of being. They just can't resist moving into malignant states a majority of their living time on this planet. So 75% of people are very easily persuaded by industries that claim to provide care for others, and they themselves are also members of these industries that portend to care, when in fact they are only conducting their work for the sake of profiting, for profiteering. They are racketeering. They are inauthentic, all for the sake of making the bucks. 75% of the human global population is selfish and cannot be in alignment with anything other than their own opportunistic desires, wants, and whims. And this is why we think this world is overpopulated. It is not overpopulated. It is overpopulated by people who are dysfunctional, below integrity, and oriented to service to self. And these people are also prone to severe identity crisis, which in yoga we refer to as Asmita. Asmita is number 2 of the 5 kleshas, or the 5 sufferings. The first of the 5 sufferings or kleshas is called avidya. And avidya is our inability to comprehend the way of the divine, the way of creative design, the way of God, or the science of God. And so in that, we have severe disagreements, we have severe aversions, or severe attachments. And the aversions and attachments are also 2 other kleshas. So, and the attachment comes after the identity crisis. So after the identity crisis comes our attachment to an external, which we are feeling either nostalgic towards or just identifying to, or at least desperate to perhaps even seek some form of shelter in this external, whatever it may be. And this is why we now have multiple genders, and we have people identifying as just about anything or anyone or whatever, because creation is very diverse. And if we are to be disenfranchised from source created energy, we just go off course toward any just little facet or element or composite of the creation. And so this is where we get lost. We lose our connection and our understanding of that Supreme Self in Asmita. And then we go into raga, which is that attachment or that clinging to some form of created whatever. And from that raga, we also have that aversion that comes next, the dvesha, which is our repulsion from anything that we find distasteful. We have the inability to support that which we are disgusted in. And that dvesha is where love stops. We don't even love anything. We may just be so disgusted in it. It just stops love in its tracks. And when we are disgusted, our faces get ugly. We get a downturned mouth. And even if we are in that mode of disapproval or disgust in a regular enough way, our smile will even include a downturned mouth. So even in the smile, the mouth will be turned down, the corners of the mouth. So this has been documented as a phenomenon that happens to the face. And just look it up. Do some research. I don't make these things up. And the final of the kleshas, I'll just finish this up here, is abnivesha. This is fear of death. This goes right into also all the other sufferings. All the sufferings proceed from the first one, the avidya. They also call it the avidya, ignorance. And then they call the asmita after that, egoism. And so then we have that clinging, the raga. Oh no, first we have, the clinging, the raga. And then we have the aversion, the dvesha. And then we have the fear of death, abnivesha. And abnivesha is also a fear of ego death. You may feel like your mortal life is in danger when you get near somebody who is actually authentically enlightened and maybe actually transcending ego, Somebody who's transcendent of ego scares the shit out of anybody who is identifying to the false construct of self, which we call the ego. And it's fun, you know, create yourself in any way you want. Have fun with that. Just keep on creating new versions of yourself, though. Don't just stick with one. Just keep on creating. Have a major identity crisis. Have dissociative identity disorder, DID. It's wonderful. One day you'll just wake up in a mental hospital and you'll be like, who am I? And you will have a hard time even remembering the names of people that are in your life. It happens. It happens. I think I've got a bit of it, maybe even. I don't know. I'm not going to claim to have any kind of mental, emotional, intellectual accomplishment. Why should I? You will all come to your own conclusions anyway. Namaste.